Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to BipolarLines, your lifeline for honest, unfiltered conversations about loving someone with bipolar disorder. I'm Brooke.
And I'm Laura, and together we share our experiences with you. Each week we dive into the messy, beautiful truth and some practical skills that help us so that we can help you.
Yes. So to our OG listeners and new, if our show speaks to you, please do us a favor and like, subscribe, follow us on your favorite platform, wherever you're listening or watching us, not to us. You could also join our Facebook group, Bipolar Lines Pod. It is a private group and a safe space for you to post anonymously if that's what you choose. But it's a great place and a great community. It's always growing.
It is. It's really active.
Yes. So you can check us out there. And of course, if you want to hear more from us, you can join our Spotify membership and become a Line Holder Club member.
We just announced this last time, so this is a new thing.
Yes, brand new. You'll get 2 bonus episodes a month from us. And don't worry, the main feed will remain as is. It will always be free.
Perfect. All right. So today's topic is one that was requested, speaking of, in our Facebook group. And they wanted to know how to help your spouse and how to deal with, loving someone who has bipolar disorder, especially when the lovely family members blame you.
Ooh, okay. I think that's a great topic, a great request. But before we dive in, let's just check in and make sure we're all doing okay. So how are things going, Laura?
It's a little crazy over here. We had our power go out, but hey, I got my hotspot. My computer was charged. We were supposed to.
The stars aligned.
It aligned. It's amazing. While the rest of the country is snowed in, like you got snow, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Out here in Denver, where we're supposed to be getting snow, we're like the lowest record snow like in years. So it was like almost 60. What is it right now? Almost 60 degrees out, sunny, perfect weather. I think I even got sunburned on my walk. And
Wow.
Cody was feeling restless because he has a ski pass and he was getting snowboarding traditionally is on his what works list. If you've heard me talk about that, like Cody being in nature helps him regulate,
Yep.
and this snowboarding is typically something that did that. And the snow season has sucked in Colorado this year. So he was feeling some sort of way about that and wasn't able to get it out. Yeah. So then he thought, well, we have a quad and my son just bought a dirt bike. And so he wanted to take us out today. But then he has unmedicated ADHD by our choice because we just don't want to take the risk of adding ADHD meds and increase the risk for mania. But with that comes, ADHD problems. So even though we had planned on doing that today, he also had planned on smoking ribs, and he's never smoked ribs before. And he realized he needed to be home for it. And so now we're here at home.
So now you're home.
Yes. And now our power's out.
Now you're home and the power's out. Yeah, good.
At least we're smoking the ribs, which is a good thing.
I like it.
I don't know if he needs power for that or not, but yeah. So anyways,
hopefully not.
That's about it. Seems an eventful weekend, but for the most part, we've been even keel.
I like it.
How about you guys?
It's been a hot mess express over here in the Benton house. Still dealing with this Rexulti medication and him moving into mania and, managing it with sleep and so on and so forth. But
what is Rexulti again? What kind of med?
It's a depression booster.
Oh, that's right. I keep thinking it's an ADHD med, but it's a depression booster. No. Exactly.
Yes. Yep. So, a couple days ago, he definitely crashed and moved into depression. And the first, couple days were okay. But then he fell pretty hard pretty quickly. So it was a little spooky, a little scary. But I do think it was a wake-up call to him to recognize that he doesn't have a therapist right now. So I don't think I've circled back to that here on the podcast. But yeah, so unfortunately, his amazing therapist that was able to keep him alive has dropped him. And lots of thoughts and feelings around that. But ultimately, in my opinion, what I feel happened, and this is just speculation, is that she had never experienced that with a patient or client before, and it messed her up. Like, I don't think that she was prepared for that experience, and it probably brought in a lot of things into question for her. So He's a high risk client, always has been. He's told that, and I wish people would stop telling him that, because it helps absolutely nobody, including him. But that's like a risk that, or that's something that they say, these therapists tell him. And I don't understand the reason why, but let's put it that way. Like, they can go back to it later and be like, well, when we first met, I told you were a high risk client. And, at some point I have to evaluate my risk. And so that's their way out of seeing him.
Wouldn't you have had a referral or at least a transition to someone?
So in a perfect world, yes, we would have gotten a referral from her for him to see somebody else. But for Jeremy, this connection, this tie, there's some paranoia there. So I think, will do better with a complete fresh start, and there's no referral.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, yeah. So if things had played out differently, then yeah, we would have gone the referral route. So, but we didn't. But this therapist is DBT certified. He lives in a different state, so it's all going to be virtual. And it may just be, a short period of time he sees this person. It may not. I don't know. But his appointment is tomorrow at 9 a.m. And I'm like, okay. I could breathe a little,
Yeah.
So that, and then we've been snowed in. So he hasn't been able to go anywhere. And one big trigger for him is feeling trapped. Even though it's snow, he's trapped, and he hates feeling trapped. So like, he was out earlier this morning and was gone for like a good 3 hours. Just let him be. You do you, boo. Go for it. So
you're not worried, considering he had dipped low, or you feel like he's well enough right now too?
No, I think he's well enough right now, but I upped his medication. I gave him a 3 milligram Rexulti instead of the 2, and did not tell him. Typically he knows, but it's the same color looking pill. Everything looks the same. I didn't tell him. So he didn't have it in his mind that he could potentially, trend towards mania. He just took it as regular. And I feel like there is a psychological element to that, where because he didn't know, he wasn't looking for something else to happen.
Yeah. It's so interesting. Like, just, I was actually thinking about just this today, because I was going to get ready for this podcast, but I was on a walk thinking about it. And just, Cody, I was thinking Cody has not had what I would consider a manic episode. And they're like, when I'm talking about manic episodes, they are long. They are extended, they aren't short, and it always results in psychosis. So when you hear me, when I talk about Cody with a manic episode, that is the description. And we have not had something like that for 3 years. It's crazy. I remember 3 years ago, February, we were moving into... Do you need to get that? Cut this out.
No, that was me knocking on wood for you.
Oh, thanks.
Knocking on wood.
Yes, I should do the same. What am I thinking? It's funny. Yeah. And so, February of 2023 was an absolute shit show. Like, it was one of the worst times of both of our lives, honestly. It's just, he didn't know it until he came out of it, but it was pretty bad. But I was thinking how, like, Jeremy has had that too, has had that type of manic episode, but a lot of Jeremy's almost seems like a rapid cycle to me. It's like, we can be, and I don't even know if you consider it manic. I think you do. I mean, based on what you've told me, a lot of it goes higher in my mind than hypomania. But then we get this like drop into like one of the most significant, scary places of depression, where, I mean, like what Cody has had in these past 3 years have been what I've worried about. Like, we all are on hypervigilant mode a lot of times as caregivers, but where I see signs like lack of sleep, amping up, maybe extra projects, talking fast, extra hobbies. And then his crash will be like, he slept on the couch. And I'm like, holy crap, he slept during the day. That's a crash for Cody, like crashing back down from it. So it's so just interesting how you can have two people with the same diagnosis and it looks so different. So that's why I always ask you these questions, because I just would be like, when Cody has a severe episode, it lasts for a while. It wouldn't be like, well, he was not good these last 2 days, but now I felt okay to let it. Like, that would never be the case here.
So, and with mania, I agree, because remember, we're managing it with high dose antipsychotics. So if he was to go without those antipsychotics, he'd be gone and he'd be manic and could potentially go into psychosis. It just depends, where he would go, but it would definitely be longer than what we're dealing with now. But because we're managing it with those antipsychotics, it's an up,
you guys
down,
are good
up,
about
down, up, down.
Yeah, you guys are good at those PRN meds too, I feel like. Both of you. Where Cody, like, he's been using, I will say he's been using, like, since his last episode in 2023, he never took PRN or really, like, did anything like that. And now he does his trazodone, which is not something he likes to take because it makes him really groggy in the morning and he hates that feeling, he said. But he's been using that, I've noticed, as like a PRN if he hasn't slept. So anyways, super
love it.
Interesting.
Well, speaking of that last terrible, horrible, no good, very bad episode of that Cody experienced in 2023, tell me, Laura, how did that play out with the topic of today's podcast episode?
Oh my gosh, that's such a good segue. Way to go. And we didn't even plan it. You are a professional. So definitely not just last episode, but previous episodes, but becoming more relevant last episode, prevalent, I would say, is that his mom in particular tried to gaslight my son and blame me. So my son would have been 10 at the time. He's 13 now, so young, but aware. He's very smart. He's very, he's very aware. And he was trying to tell my mother-in-law that he wanted to leave their house that he was currently inhabiting as a visit where my husband was staying because, his dad was manic and he just wanted to go home. To which she told him, "Your dad's not manic. Your mom just makes him that way." And I was like, I will never forget that because, for one, that's just the biggest form of gaslighting you can possibly imagine. And for two, it's not the first rodeo. It's not the second. It's not the third. It's not the fourth. It's not the fifth. It's not the sixth.
Right.
We were on episode 8 or 9.
Yeah. But also, like, why would you want to scare a child into blaming the non-sick parent and like to create fear? Like, no, your dad's fine. It's your mom that's doing this. Like, now all of a sudden this child has no safe parent. In their mind, right? Like, let's just incite fear and confusion. Oh,
yeah. Sorry, I don't think it's that deep. Honestly, I'm not trying to be rude with her, but I just don't think it's that deep. I think it's, I think it's some other sort of pathology that I won't get into that, but right. But but the result is what you just described. So even though I don't think that was the intent, we had just said, like, that one phrase, "I'm going to love for you forever," intent doesn't minimize impact. So even though I don't think that was the intent, I think it's some delusion that she lives in. It completely gaslit my son. So, but I mean, he knew he was gaslit, but then he was validated again by me and everyone around him. So, but certainly,
did he think in that moment that it was true?
I don't think so, no, because he was calling me on his, he didn't have a cell phone at the time. He had a child's gizmo watch with only a select group of people he could call, and I was one of them. And he was telling me what was being said while simultaneously begging me to get him out of the situation. And the reason I was not getting him out of the situation was because I had a protective order against Cody, and I didn't know that I could go and get my children. Like, the judge had scared me so much, like an entrapment situation. He was like, if you do this and then somehow entrap him, like, you go to where he's at and then the protection order is violated, that's on you. So I was like totally scared to like do what was within my rights to do, which was go get my children, even though there was a protective order. So yeah, that was kind of the situation. But definitely even since that, I mean, that was the most extreme, but I would say there's always this element of, Cody doesn't make his own decisions. Laura's a bad influence. Laura likes to drink. So if I happen to drink and then he drinks, that's Laura's fault because Laura created the Bible. I mean, it's the whole thing. It's like they don't subscribe any personal accountability to him managing his illness. So it always has to be someone else's fault. And it's me. I'm the available, most convenient person. All right. So what has been your personal experience? Have you dealt with this, Brooke, where you felt like others were blaming you?
No, not really. Like pre-diagnosis, I would say that there were a lot of like marital issues that I'm sure I was blamed for, no doubt. And then like alcohol or smoking weed or things that those things were blamed. But I have not been blamed by family specifically for what happens in episodes because, again, we were almost 10 years in as a married couple before Jeremy was diagnosed.
Yeah. Yeah, like I think that's a big reason why maybe this happens to people is because, bipolar is typically diagnosed, I mean, usually after you're a teenager. So a lot of times in the early 20s, and that was definitely the case with me, is that, Cody was diagnosed 9 months after we were married. So he was 26. And so, I mean, definitely there were signs before, but I think his major manic episode happened when we were married, which made it very easy for his family to be like, well, it must have been her.
Must have been you.
It must have been
I mean, you've only been married 9 months and he was not like this before, right? Yeah.
Even though I'd been with him 3.5 years before that, but I digress. So yeah, I feel like a lot of people are really struggling with this. And I know that you had said before, what your boundaries would be. Before you talk about that, I just want to talk about personal accountability because, a lot of like what I see as a big gap is the fact his family is quick to, let's say if I'm drinking, that means he's drinking. But they're quick to subscribe that kind of judgment on me, like, oh, well, he's drinking because Laura's drinking, even though he does other things that Laura doesn't do. And then that just conveniently gets swept under the rug. But there is this idea of personal accountability, and every person, regardless of the relationship they're in or not, should have personal accountability, So like, I think of like a family member of mine who got sober and his wife didn't get sober because he did. He had to be accountable, and that was hard. And it took a lot of work. It took him going to meetings. It took him being outside of the house. It took a lot of personal fortitude and strength. But the most that it took was personal accountability.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And understanding, because they're also individuals that, like, if they're going to blame you for what happens when Cody is in an episode, then their logic would stand that they could also blame themselves. Just somebody else, an extension of the person, which just doesn't track. But yeah, personal accountability is absolutely something that they clearly cannot see, and I'm sure others can't see. You mentioned, the lack of personal accountability, that people don't pay attention to that and diagnose later in life. So they weren't that way before, and now all of a sudden they're that way. And then I think there's a third element here, which is like the lack of acknowledgement of mental health and mental illnesses. So those people that are uneducated or unwilling to accept these things exist can also absolutely contribute to you being blamed.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think, you have a whole handle on TikTok called break_the_stigma. And I do think that stigma really does apply here, because it's honestly stigma to say that, like, even if we knew a person has a substance use disorder, which I think is the formal term for it, that can coexist with a mental illness, it's not the cause. It is like, people talk about the chicken or the egg. Can it exasperate it? Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Like, might it even, be the precipitated episode? Maybe. But I mean, ultimately, they are two separate and distinct disorders. And you still have bipolar disorder regardless. Like, if you've been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, it's not just because you had a substance use disorder as well. They frequently go together. So, I mean, people want my advice. Mostly, Brooke, and there's really no advice to give except to, like, just know that no matter, I guess, like, and you tell me your opinion, but when people are like, well, what do I say? Like, the family's blaming me. How do I combat this? Like, you don't combat it. There's no defense. There's no need to run defense. They are just ignorant, and you stand in the truth because you've done the education. So, I mean, it sucks. I don't like family blaming me either. Feels shitty. Like, but ultimately, I know I'm not the cause of my husband's genetic, biological, mental brain disorder. Like,
Right.
I am not the cause of it.
Nope. 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 You're not.
Yeah. And like, how do you, I mean, and people are
It's
like, well,
hard.
okay, it's very hard.
It's hard. And I
It
think,
sounds easy and it's hard.
yeah, it does sound like, oh, well, just ignore it. No, we can't really ignore it because that doesn't really work. But
Mm-hmm.
I think it kind of goes back to like, you have to take personal accountability as the person that's being blamed. And the fact that you get to choose how you respond or how you don't respond, because not responding is a response, right? So can this person hear the diagnosis? Are they willing to listen? Do they reject mental illness? I don't know the answer, but you need to look at those things. And if the answer is, no, they're not going to hear me and they don't believe in mental illness or mental health, like then it's a waste of time, a waste of your breath and your emotional capacity to
Yeah.
try to inform. Right. So I say all that to say again, it's not your job to make them comfortable about something that they are uneducated about. It is their job to educate themselves. So you get to choose, and you get to choose what that boundary is. You get to choose what you're going to do, what you're not going to do. But ultimately, I think what should be at the top of your priority list in this situation would be your person's mental health, your kids' mental health, and your family's peace. If you aren't able to interact in a way that protects those things, you may have to consider not interacting in the same capacities that you've done in the past. And if something is said that is going to trigger your person, or that's wrong, you need to come up with a go-to, like, what, we're not going to do that. That's something that we're not going to do. And you're not going to speak about this in front of my children. We're leaving. Like, it's not going to be comfortable. But if you don't stand up for what you believe in consistently, I guarantee you they will come back and tell you, like, every single time you didn't do it and how now you're wrong and how you're to blame. So don't give them that chance.
Yeah,
That's my take.
that's a great point, Brooke. I mean, you're really like describing boundaries. And so sometimes boundaries extend to the family, and definitely
Yep.
like after Cody's last episode, I had those boundaries too. It was
Yep.
like, nope, you actually don't get access to me anymore. And I think that human nature is that we want to explain like our
Mm-hmm.
like, it wasn't my fault, this and it was never going to happen with my in-laws, let's just put it that way.
No.
And so it was better just to go pretty much low contact and to set those boundaries. And I had this great quote. It was actually I guess like some professional sports player had visited a neighbor of mine's school, but his advice to everyone was never take criticism from someone you wouldn't take advice from.
Oh, I love
And I
that.
was like, whoa, like that is, yeah. I was like, man, that's a small little nugget, but super powerful. So, like, yeah, am I going to take advice from his parents who have literally done nothing to educate themselves? I gave them the books I read. I begged them to read everything I read. I'm the one
Yeah.
doing a podcast. I'm the one in therapy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the one learning all about bipolar. And so, does their criticism of me, like, am I going to take stock into that when I would never take advice from them about Bible? No.
Mm-mm.
And so, unfortunately, sometimes we have to live in that space. And I know
Yep.
you want to be right, and I know you want it to be validated, and I know you want all the things, but sometimes that's just not possible.
Yeah, it's not. And sometimes it takes a long time to get to the point where you can validate what you just said, which is, would you
Yeah.
take criticism from the person that you take advice from? Like, maybe initially you don't know the answer to that. Like, or maybe you initially think that you should be the one to take advice from the parents, the family
That's
members.
true. That's a good point. Yeah.
So it may take a little while to recognize that, but I would just caution you, dear listeners, in this way, that if you are being blamed for your partner's, your person, your loved one's episodes, take a few steps back before you start defending who you are.
Yeah.
Because the question I would ask myself is this: if my husband was stable, if my person was stable, would my person allow this family member to come at me and attack me and blame me? If he was stable and in the room with me, would he allow that? And I can tell you the answer is absolutely not.
Brooke, that's such a good point. I think we should actually end on that point, because that is the same with Cody. So when Cody is sick, he's saying all this stuff. They're, like they're just backing him up because
we're blamed. We are to blame.
Yeah. So they're like, oh yeah, it must be her fault. Clearly it's her fault. But when he is stable, when he's back, maybe not even stable, maybe just back to baseline, he absolutely does what you just said. He defends me. He explains my position. He tells them, like, no, it wasn't Laura's fault. It wasn't Laura. And even in those moments, they don't believe him. No. And so that's how I know that their opinion, their advice, much less their criticism, is completely invalid. Yeah. Because when their son is stable, they're not willing to believe him. When their son is completely sick, they're backing him up.
They believe every word.
Yep. So like they're right there, So I agree with you.
The motive is there. You just have to see it. Yeah. But yeah, I say that just as a golden nugget to everybody else. Like I say that to my kids. Like I want you to pay attention to the people that you're talking to, and do not ever say something out of your mouth that you wouldn't say if I was standing right beside you. So that's kind of like my litmus test, right? For a lot of things, like, would that work? Would that not work? And here, I think it absolutely would work, because you don't need to spend the rest of your life defending yourself to family, friends, or the CVS cashier. Like, no.
I know. As much as, and the person that matters really isn't their family as much as you want it. The person that matters is your partner. And when your partner is back to stable, when they're back to baseline, that's the person that matters. So, and people worry, like, they worry even in manic episodes, like, oh, is he going to be mad at me? Is she going to hate me? Is she going to whatever? Well, no one can predict how they'll be. But when they are at baseline, like Cody always understands. He's always like, Laura had to do that. Laura had to cut up the credit cards. Laura had to do this. And he defends that.
1,000%.
So that's really what matters, even though would it feel good to have the validation of his parents? Of course.
Sure.
But it's not going to happen. And it's not needed to have a relationship with Cody.
No, it's not. I think the only thing I'll end on here is to say, if when your person is back to semi-baseline, or, the family members are in their ear when they're trying to recover from the episode, and they just keep harping on all the terrible, horrible, very bad things you've done, that's not helpful. And that can cause a lot of damage. So if that is happening, I would strongly encourage you to either join in, meaning like, hey, great, I understand you're having conversations with my person about what you think I've done. Let's get on a phone call, or let's meet at a restaurant and confront them face to face. Because what they won't do a lot of times would be to treat you the same way they would over the phone in front of their own child or in front of their family member, right? So don't allow it to just continue as much as you possibly can. Like, confront it head on as best as you can. Or you tell your person, nope, that is not what happened. You can choose to believe them. You can choose to believe me right now. It's not worth my mental energy, my emotions. I can't do it. I don't want to hear anything else about it. And just remove it.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not all in a pretty bow sometimes, as much as we wish it would be. But hopefully that does give you guys like camaraderie. You do understand that, this is something that definitely a lot of people experience, not just you. And at the end of the day, your truth and to stand in your truth. And that's what matters.
That is absolutely what matters. That's the bow. You stand in your truth. I love that. You know what that truth is. Love it. All right. Well, yet another great conversation from us on the main feed. Here we are. If you want to hear more from us, you can check out our Spotify memberships, brand new. Episodes drop, I think, every other week. So you'd get 2 bonus episodes a month. And let's see, you can join the Facebook group, BipolarLines Pod. What else, Laura?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited about our membership group, honestly, under Spotify. We're calling it the Line Holders Club. Yes. And, as vulnerable as you might think that Brooke and I are being here, where anybody can view our content. We are way more vulnerable under a paywall. I mean, not because we want the pay, but just because it's not accessible to the whole world.
Yep.
So you'll
1000%.
get a more authentic maybe view or insight into our life, and we're happy to do that. But
more filtered. We're authentic, but more, it'd be less filtered.
There you go.
Behind the paywall.
Yeah. Like everything we say is true and authentic, but less filtered behind a paywall because we don't have to worry about it just being out in the World Wide Web.
Yep.
So I'm really excited because, a club too builds like a little family. So we want to hear your stories too. We want to get to know you too, with that. So I am really excited about the Line Holders Club. But that being said, you can also find us on TikTok. So I am the BP spouse. Brooke is break_the stigma.
Yep.
We do answer our DMs as even if you might not know that we're active. Sometimes, Brooke, you said people were like, "Are you still on?"
Yep. I've been posting videos.
You're doing better than me. You're doing way better than me currently, but it goes in waves, right? Social media is weird. In waves.
It is weird, and the algorithm is all messed up anyway. So I haven't been posting the last couple of days because it's just all weird. But I'll get back to it in a few.
And then we also have our website. So bipolarlinespod.wordpress.com. Right now it's just a free site, but we'll definitely keep you updated there. You can subscribe and you'll get all the news there.
Yeah, perfect. Well, as always, thank you all so much for being here, for showing up for your person, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.